Well, hello, everybody, and welcome into Perspectives, the home edition. We are still holding to the side of caution because of this terrible thing called COVID. Trying to keep the students safe, trying to keep everybody involved in the show safe. So we'll get there. Just hang with us. We have somebody today I've really been looking forward to talking with to start us off. He is a deacon. He is with Catholic Charities, an organization that I have held in high esteem for many, many years. No matter where you go, when you bring up Catholic Charities, you find that they are a workhorse of doing good in the world, and he shines a light of goodness everywhere he goes. David Hamel. David, good to have you, my friend.
Thank you so much, Sam. I'm glad to be here.
The thing that brings you here with us today is we've received the last of the Afghan refugees, our allotment. Several states ended up with these folks, and we ended up with how many?
In total, for the whole state, we have received 1,859 Afghan refugees. Now that's broken out between the Diocese of Tulsa and Oklahoma City. So we've had 800 arrivals. We're actually receiving our last four this afternoon. That will put us just over 800, like 803. Oklahoma City Catholic Charities is on target to receive 1,000. And then the synagogue, B'nai Emunah, has received 59.
You know, I've got to ask the obvious question. How did Catholic Charities get involved in this? Because I know for a fact that you folks are the kind that when a problem rears its head, you say, hey, I got this, step back.
Almost. We tentatively say we've got this, but we also count on so many people to help us accomplish what we are trying to undertake. And so in this instance with the Afghan refugees, we've had over 700 volunteers that have come forward, and we've tracked the hours that they've given, and it's about 12,000 hours just from our volunteers that have come forward. And it's truly been ecumenical. We've had many from a number of different churches in the area. And as well as I said, B'nai Emunah, the synagogue, has been a great partner as well.
The folks from Afghanistan are facing what appear to be insurmountable odds. They come here with nothing. It is our role, as Catholic Charities have pointed out, through example, it is our role to step in and do what we can to help them become a part of our culture. Mm-hmm. What are some of the things, some of the obstacles that they're going to have to deal with?
There's a number of obstacles that they're faced with. If we could so call it, the traditional refugee would have fled their home country to a third country and had been in the third country for a number of years while awaiting relocation to their final home, in this case, the United States. And they would have received a lot of cultural orientation in advance. With the Afghan community, they didn't have that benefit. They were evacuated on short notice and removed from Afghanistan directly to the United States. And when they arrived in the United States, they were primarily brought to military bases and housed there until they could reach their final destination. So they received just basic services at the military base. And as you said, Sam, when they're arriving, they're coming with nothing, maybe a few articles of clothing, and no ability for many of them to even speak the language. Mm-hmm. Especially the women and children. We've encountered many of the men, most of those that have served alongside the US military in Afghanistan often act as interpreters for the US government. They are well versed in the English language, but many others are not. And so that's a huge barrier initially. And two, because of what they experienced in Afghanistan, they didn't have access to medical care and other things that we normally take for granted. And so they're coming, they have certain conditions that need to be addressed, and we're trying to coordinate their medical care. And we've had wonderful support from Ascension St. John and St. Francis Hospital, along with some other medical providers to be able to do that. But again, the translation is an issue, and certainly transportation is also something that we're working on, especially now that we're several months in and we're approaching the next phase where we're going to be helping many of these Afghan individuals find permanent employment.
Housing, or let me back up here. Permanent housing is going to be an issue for them. How is that being addressed?
So when, we do have the challenge of a housing crisis in the area. It seems to be getting a little bit better. And again, normally if we received a refugee, they would arrive and we would already have their home set up for them. In this case, partly because of the numbers and the short time frame, when a refugee arrives and their family, they're put up in a hotel. And so we're using 2 hotels in town where they're staying on average about 30 days, which it's not a vacation. So to be cooped up in a small room with potentially 4 to 6 kids is difficult. So they're in a hotel room for a period of time. But then we have some of our staff and another core group of volunteers that are working on the long-term housing solution. And so we're finding apartments and houses and so forth to be able to rent and place them in permanently.
YWCA is also involved with this effort, are they not?
They are. The YWCA really is, as it said in the Tulsa World this morning, we're ending phase 1, which is the initial resettlement, the first 90 days of a refugee's arrival. The YWCA picks it up from here, and they actually will provide support for the next 5 years to these families. So it could be anything from English as a second language to immigration, law concerns. All of the refugees that have come to us technically have a status that's called a parolee. And we shouldn't think of that as, a parolee like somebody that's been released from jail. It's just the government's term for somebody that doesn't have status, any permanent status to be in the United States. So all of the refugees, the Afghans, have to seek asylum. They have to apply for that legal protection in the next 2 years. And so the YWCA is going to be taking on a large part of that, as well as Catholic Charities.
Hey, do me a favor, warn all of them about robocalls.
Oh, yeah.
Because even all of America has to put up with that crap. So you might just give them a heads up about a robocall. We've got about 4 minutes left. I want to talk a little bit about Catholic Charities, if you don't mind.
Sure.
You guys, everybody involved with Catholic Charities, if you don't see them, you get the impression they've got a cape and big muscles, and they're ready to go the distance.
Yeah.
But the read on that, if you check the track record of Catholic Charities, they do an incredible job with every task that comes before them. Now, is that the mission of Catholic Charities, to helping hand to people who need it?
Most certainly. Our mission is to be Christ's merciful love to those that suffer. Those that suffer are come from all walks of life. They're all colors, they're all religions. And we're here to try to offer that love, that hospitality, that kindness, that support that they need. And just a kind of a side note, I just thought of this. Several years ago, we went through a rebranding of, our logo and so forth. And whoever was coming up with this gave us this model of Captain Compassion. And so when you were speaking of, the cape and the all that, the big S on the, we had that as our logo for a year, with the guy with the cape and the big CC on his chest, and we let that go, but we still have that as part of who we are in that sense. We don't look to ourselves as the people with the cape on. We try to just do our work humbly and quietly and serve those most in need.
Well, that was the other thing I was going to bring up. You never seem to be out beating the drum for the dollar or trying to get folks, hey, look at me, I'm Catholic Charities. I never see or hear any of that. We
do have wonderful benefactors that I guess we do beat the drum in a small way, but not out there in public to say, right, look at us. We're trying to reach out in those ways that allow those donors to support, because they also feel a calling in this mission, in this ministry, and that is their way to be able to support the work that is being done.
David, we're out of time. I want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule and time away from this particular mission, and I know you have others, to speak with us and to talk with our viewers a little bit about this incredible project. Thank you, and thanks to Catholic Charities for all of you do. We're very grateful.
Thank you very much, Sam, and thank you for having us on.
Maybe we can do this again down the road after the dust settles.
I would love to.
All right, my friend, you can take that to the bank.
Okay.
We're going to take a short break. We'll be back with more on Perspectives right after this.